Hello Internet, it's the Puppeteer here again from Godlike Productions. I'm going to run through a little bit of discovery of VSIG today. So VSIG, for those that don't know, is the programming environment for the Eventide H9000. And the objective today is I want to build myself a little dub delay inside VSIG. So yeah, you can see up the top there, on the left, I have got the VSIG open. On the right, I've got emote, and down the bottom is just my routing. So the Dub Techno that we're doing today, very, very simple. Just TR909, I've got a kick and a hi-hat, very simple. And I've just got just a patch on the Behringer 2600. And we're going to see what mayhem we can wreak on the 2600 going through the H9000. So the first thing that we got to do is a little trick that I learned from John Bayliss over at the Eventide forums. So when you open up VSIG, this has just been opened, first thing we need to do, I'm going to have to mess around and get a new window for this, but let's just save this. And you guys can't see this, but I'm just going to save this as template. Okay, and let me just open up a notepad window. Just give me a second. And I will show you guys what I'm doing here. So you should see template is all opened up in there. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, whenever you load a VSIG file over to the H9000 using VSIG, it will always come up as just the normal through algorithm unless you have something written after this tail here. So it doesn't matter what you put in there, you have to put something. So I'm just going to put Godlike Productions. Okay, and we're going to save this. Okay, and that's all you need to do. So as long as it's got something after that tail there, and usually they just put the initials of whoever creates the algorithm, but just put something there and then it will load normally in VSIG. So that's the first thing to do. So let's go back to VSIG now, and I'm going to open that template that I just saved. Okay, looks exactly the same. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to emulate a channel strip within the within VSIG here. So I want to put a delay loop in here, and then after that I'm going to put in and then I'm going to put in some other processing, so maybe a parametric EQ and perhaps a gain in there and perhaps a reverb. Let's just download. Alright, so I'm just having a look at one of the... This is a delay called Groove Sync Delay. I just want to see if this has got... Alright, so this one here has got a tempo-based delay in it. So I'm thinking what I might do is I might just make modifications to this, because this has already got all the maths in it for the tempo sync delay. So I've got a delay here. So there's the delays. Alright, so this has got some tone controls in it, so this may actually work Actually, this may just do the job I want it to do anyway. Alright, so what we might do is we might borrow this, except what we might do is we might put the tone controls in the feedback loop here. So just to take you through what we've got here, we've got, these are the inputs going to a left delay and a right delay. And then, so let's just turn off these for the time being. So we'll just look at the where the audio is going. Let's just line these up. All right, so we've got one of them going into this tone, which has got a, it's just basically a simple tone control equalizer. So I think we might just disconnect these tone controls from the forward delay and put that back in the feedback loop. So to do that, what we want to do is we want to get rid of this control one here. Which I thought we could just double click or right click on it, but right, so we'll disconnect that tone control there. We'll disconnect this tone control here. We will disconnect that tone control there and that one there. Okay. Right, so let's just move these down here. Right, so all this here is for the pretty much all of the this is all the MIDI clocking stuff, which is the stuff that we want to keep. And in the, so from this mix, there's this output here that goes back into the delay. Let's just pull these down so I can see a little bit better what's going on. So the only outputs we've got at the moment are coming from the delay block. That should be fine. And then we've got both the input and the delay feeding the mix. So I think what we actually want to do is we want to send the mix to the ADC outs rather than directly from the delay. So let's just wire these up this way instead. Okay, so now what's happening is we've got the delay that feeds into these mix blocks, and then the mix goes to the outputs and it also feeds back into this delay block. So this is where we want to put our tone controls, is in this feedback section. So, and we probably also want to have a gain control in there. So have we got a gain control? This here has got, these have got low and high levels in them. Well, let's give this a go first. Let's see if the high and low levels will control what we want to do. So in this feedback loop, we want to disconnect this input. I want to disconnect this input. Which is, that's in the feedback loop. So what we need is we need a mixer ahead of these delay blocks because we want to mix in what we're getting back from the tone plus the input here. I don't really know if we need this here at all. Let's just get rid of this. Okay. Right, so we've simplified this a little bit. So let's bring in some new mix blocks. Let's bring up another mix block. Alright, where's this one here going to? Right, so let's put that into in one, and put this into this in one, put this into the delay, and then we also want to bring back this feedback out of here, out of this tone control. So let's put this back into this side, oops, and let's stick this one back into the other side, back into here. Alright, so we need to attach some knobs to control these shortly, which we'll do. This is, let's just get rid of that one as well, we don't need that. Alright, so we need to take this tone back up into that block. We'll take a dry signal in through this mix block here. Oh, did I just do the... Yep. And then we're going to take this out of this mix block. We're going to then take this through the tone control. Take this into this tone control. Oh, what happened there? And then this tone control then goes back up into the mixer. So all we need now is that we need to add some knobs for the amp amount. So we've got a dry signal that goes into the delay, and we've got a what's this one do? So we might use that feedback knob, but we're going to bring this feedback knob back over to the other side. Because we don't need it connected to this anymore, because this isn't what is doing the feedback. But we do need the delay patch through to there. So this delay needs to go into here, and this delay needs to go into here. I'm not even sure if we need this first one, to be honest, because we already have a dry signal coming in through these two mixers. So there's a dry signal coming in through there. That mix, Oh no, that's the new dry signal that comes into this delay. So this is always going to be delayed. This doesn't really have a wet dry. But the delay amount, it looks like we've lost all of our connections from our delay amounts. Have we? Oh no, they're connected up there. The delay amounts are connected up, so that's all fine. All right, but this percent knob, I want this to control both of these. The second amount, the second here, which is the feedback on both of these. So I'm going to use that to control these feedback amounts, and I don't need that one. We can disconnect that. But I will need, I think that's it for the audio connections. So let's just turn this off. We'll just double check what we've got for our audio connections at the moment. So we've got the inputs. They go into this mix, which is essentially transparent for the way forward, and then this mix goes into delay. So it gets delayed at this point, but it's also going into these mixers here. So that's our dry signal, comes in through the mixer and straight back out. And then down here we have got, goes through to the delay, and this output from the delay goes through to this mixer. We've got output of the mixer comes back through a tone control. This tone control then goes back up into the mixer, and we go back again through the delay. So the delay, all right, so that's the audio, and that's what we want. And then the outputs appear from this mixer. So they're the outputs come back out of this mixer here. All right, so let's just turn those off. Turn on the control signals. So we have, so that's feedback 1 and feedback 2. So we're only using one feedback knob, so we might change this to be the wet dry knob, I think. Let's just have a look and see what these other ones are. There's a type. This is a, okay, this is the tone control. Oh, these are the two delays, and this is the other part of the tone control. Yep. So what we might do is we might change this first percent knob. We might change that to change the amount. We might change this to a wet dry amount through this one here. So what we might do is we'll attach it to this dry signal instead, and we'll change the volume of the dry signal. So let's just disconnect this. Let's rename this one dry. And then let's then connect that up to here. In fact, we might have to change, we might change this one. So it goes down into here. Right, we might change this just for a standard knob, because we want, oh no, we won't. We'll keep it as a percent. it will keep this as a percent. So let's do him this way instead. Disconnect that. So we're going to change this to basically a wet dry amount. So that's the amount wet that we want. So at 100% wet, it will be all wet. So let's just call this one wet dry instead. And then let's put a little bit of maths in here. And we'll convert this from we want to use the same knob to turn down this one here by the same amount. So the maths that we need here is basically to we can just multiply it by -1 and that will invert this. So let's find a multiply. So let's just put -1 here, and then I think I need to do a conversion. No, let's just get rid of that one. I want control multiply. Okay, put that into there. And I want this to be -1. Okay, so this is blue, so this is all the controllers. Apologies it's taken so long. This is one of my first forays into VSIG, so you guys are kind of discovering along with me. Okay, so this one turns down the mix, turns down the dry amount as we turn up the wet amount. Okay, so there's our wet dry amount. So let's just rename that while we're here. All right, so is everything I've got nothing on object 9 there. Well, that shouldn't cause a problem. Right, these one. So we have to reorder these. So these mix knobs need to be lower in number than these ones. Can I just drag? Let's just take this down to 22. And this one can go down to 31. That should resolve that. We want these ones to go up a couple of numbers. This needs to come down to below 25. Right, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to make sure that these evaluate in the right direction, because we need to work out what this is before we can do this. Now, the ones that aren't going to be in the right order, the feedback ones, and that's fine. So this here, that'll have to wait until the next time around before it reevaluates them, and that should be fine. I've left the menu pages what they are, so I think these always have to take, I think info block always has to be 1. This is what I'm working out. I don't know whether this is going to work when we upload it ourselves. Takes the output of the left delay, including feedback, and feeds it into the input of the right delay. So right, we're changing this. So this is a dub delay with tone control. Oops. Control in the feed. Okay, let's just save this then. I'm just calling it dub delay 1. Okay, let's upload it and see if it works. We want to put it into FX chain slot 1, so let's hit send. And let's see. Oops. All right, so we've got it in here, and these are our controls that we have. So we have note 1, normal, dotted, and triplet. So let's start this off at a quarter note, and we'll turn tempo mode on. And I just need to make sure actually that clock source tempo is off MIDI clock. So it's set to 120, but this should resolve as soon as I press play because it's run off MIDI clock. Let's just go back into here. Right, so it's a quarter note. For one, let's just set this to a quarter note as well to start with. And we've got feedback, and this is the amount of wet that we've got. And we've got 40% feedback, and then these are our EQ parameters that we can have a look at. So, let's see what she sounds like, hey? Alright, let's increase our wetness. Feedback. So we're getting a bit of crunching there, so what we might want to do oh, this is a lot of fun already. Alright, just going to turn it off for a second there. Alright, so what I'm thinking I might do, so we're getting some distortion there as we start clipping those outputs because the feedback loop is clipping. So what I'm thinking I might do, and this is just to borrow a trick from the Kurzweil world, they've got a algorithm on the KSP8 called Chaos, which is a feedback algorithm, and the way that they deal with that is that they put a compressor in the feedback chain. So I'm thinking that might be a nice little trick that we can borrow from Kurzweil and stick in here. We might stick a compressor in that feedback loop so that we don't ever distort. That might be a really nice way of managing that. And I'm thinking another thing that might be really nice in here is to put that reverb in that we talked about. So again, what I might do there is I'll I think I'm going to have a look at another algorithm that's available on the Eventide that's got, you know, quite a simple reverb. I'm not after anything that's too resource intense, and we might stick that in that loop as well. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a play with this so that you can hear what we've done so far. I will come back another video where we'll put that compressor in, and then I'll probably do a third one where we'll put that reverb in as well. So this is going to end part one. I was originally all going to do this in one go, but we've gone for 36 minutes now, and as you've been exploring with me. So let's just take out with a very quick performance of, you know, our first version of the dub delay. I'll put these dub delays up, and what I'll do is some of my more refined algorithms and effects things that I develop, I'm going to put on so I've got a buy me a coffee site, which is a little bit like Patreon, but it's cheaper and easier to maintain for the user. So I get more of a percentage of the money. But it does the same sort of thing. I can have members only content there, and so some of the more complex things that I do, I'll probably put up on there. I will put a link in the description below for the buy me a coffee if you find this valuable, and you want to chip in a few bucks. That at the moment I'm saving up to get a Mac M1 so I can continue with VST development on the Mac architecture for some of the plugins I've done. So that's where those funds are going to at the moment. And so as I go through, I'm going to make probably more and more content available there. Some of the stuff I will share on my website at godlike.com.au, and also over at the Eventide forums. I will, upload things there as well, because I'm keen to share content that I build, because there doesn't seem to be very many people sharing stuff for the H9000 yet, and I think that's a crying shame, because it's such a beautiful effects unit, and seeing some of the stuff that other people are developing, I think is a lot of fun, and being able to take some of these and develop them further. I'll supply things both as a VSIG file and also as an algorithm that's available directly to load onto the or to import straight into the H9000. If you don't want to bother with VSIG, that's I understand it. It's a bit of a spaghetti factory, but it's a fun spaghetti factory, and it's the sort of stuff that I like to enjoy and get into. Anyway, look, if you've liked this content, please hit the like and subscribe button, and hit the bell if you want to be reminded of any new features that are coming up. We don't just post stuff for the H9000 here. I post a lot of Kurzweil content, and we post up music videos for some of the music we release, so a bit of a mixed bag. But at the moment, I've got a new toy and I'd like to play with it, and so you're probably going to be seeing a bit of H9000 content coming your way. All right, there you go. A little bit of a performance. So, yep, I'll say goodbye now. Hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, I'll see you next time for part 2. Catches.